Hey, my name is Tyler, and today I'll be showing you how to make this from scratch with some assets, of course, but mostly from scratch. Let's get right into it. When starting a new project, it's really important to find references online. You can go into it blind, and it might even work, but you should try to make it a habit of finding some. You can find them on Pinterest, Behance, sites like that work. I found this cool JBL flip, and I really liked it and wanted to make something like it. They had a bunch of other cool stuff on here too. I just kept scrolling through, but next step is to gather our assets. The rock I used is from Quixel Megascans, which is now known as Fab, which sucks, but I'll call it Quixel. I downloaded the high quality version, the FBX file, and now let's find our speaker. Now for the actual product, I'm using the Sony XB12 from 3D Sky. This model is made by Gray_7. That's a pretty great model. And 3D Sky is a great site for getting 3D models. This is paid, so I can't share it, but you can use whatever. Now let's get into Blender. So now that we're in Blender, let's start this thing. Delete all the stuff. Let me turn on screencast key so you can see what I'm clicking. For this tutorial, I have on Node Wrangler. If you don't have that, go to Add-ons, search Node Wrangler. It'll be checked off. Check that on. It's super useful. I also have the plugin Easy HDRI installed just for HDRI lighting. For our shot, let me just get the right folder to use. Grayscale Gorilla. Let me just accept that. Make sure this is the right one. Yep. All right, let's start. So first thing is to import our rocks first. So the rocks we downloaded from Quixel, which is now Fab, which sucks. We'll import that. You can see our rocks right here. Excuse me. Voice crack. Rename this to rock. Next step is setting up the texture, so let's do that. I'm going to get a random HDRI just to make sure our textures look okay. Let's do this one. This plugin's super useful. It just helps create HDRIs much quicker. Create world nodes. And now we can get our rock looking cool. The reason my thing is transparent is because I went under to the render properties, film, transparent. You can turn that on or off if you want. I just like it on to transparent background. So we can go down here, click the little clock button, change it to shader editor. Come down here, delete the little normal map that's already in here. I don't know why. Sometimes it, when you download something from Quixel, it'll have a normal map already set up, which is kind of strange. So click on this. We're using a Node Wrangler, Control-Shift-T. That'll open up this window. Go down to your rock or whatever folder. And for this video, I'm going to be using the base color, the displacement, roughness, and normal map. And excuse me, just by importing, we already have that, which is pretty awesome. Now, if you don't know what a normal map is, I'm in the same boat. I really don't know what it does, essentially, but when you turn it off, you can see the difference. I believe it treats the low poly geometry like there's actual geometry, and the light will hit it like it would if it was like the actual object. So as you can see, when I turn it to 0, it looks weird and smooth. Turn it up to 1. Just don't overdo it because it looks really bad if you do. So we'll set it to 1. Now, displacement does essentially the same thing. As you see, you can really overdo it. I just sometimes like to do it because I feel like it adds a little more depth. So we'll just put that on 1. That looks good. Now for this shot, I'd like the rock to be black and white, so I'm going to drop down a hue saturation value. Drop that onto the little node thing. Saturation to 0. The factor is like a blend slider essentially. See 0, 100. So if you want, you can turn it down, but I like it all the way up. Value, we can turn that down maybe a little bit. That's like the brightness. I think that looks good. So now let's set up a camera and start building our scene out. We can just drag this down. For this shot, I'm going to go with 2000 by 2000 resolution. So come down to the output properties. 2000 by 2000. There we go. Now let's Shift A, create a new camera. We can drag over all 3 of these, holding down the mouse button, hit 0. Now we'll bring this way. Rotate we want the Z up, so 90. Yeah, there we go. So now we have this rock right where we want it. You can come up here to drag out a second window if you see, or anywhere really, but I like to do it like this. If you come up to the corner, you can click and drag, and you'll see this little window thing. Let it go, and now you can have, excuse me, a live window while it's rendering, and you can still adjust things on the fly, which is pretty cool. So for this one, and you can come down to the camera properties and change the viewport display, turn this up so you don't see the background. And I'm going to be shooting at an 80 millimeter. Let's bring this back a little bit. We can click R and Z to rotate it like this. I would like a cool kind of stage setup for a product. So we can maybe do this, rotate on the Y, bring it forward a little bit. Now if we render, we can see what we're dealing with so far. Not too great, but we'll get there. Let's go back to our solid. You can hold Z to get to this pie menu. Shift D to duplicate. You can just drag where you want this to bring it up front here. We'll rotate it a little bit, however you want. This is up to you. It's kind of cool. Do that. Bring this up a little bit. Shift D one more time. You could hit RR just to kind of swivel it like this. I don't really want intersections, so let's figure this out. It's just all trial and error, like with anything. I don't like how they're all facing the same direction. I didn't even realize. Let's move this way. Let me bring this. Let's see. That works, I think. Maybe if we scale it up a little bit. Select all, scale, S. Drag it down. Maybe even rotate this one a little bit. This way. I just don't want any obvious intersections. If you can't really see it, it doesn't matter, but let's go to the render button, see what we're dealing with. Yeah, I think that works. So now let's get our product in here. So we can hide all those just for now so we don't get confused. We can even hide the camera. File, import. Our speaker models in FBX, so select FBX. Desktop, Sony speaker, and this is the Sony XB12. Now, this is all over the place when we import it. Let's make this window smaller. We don't need these. Let's get rid of that. As cool as this is, we don't need this either, unfortunately. So let's get rid of that, get rid of this. And we'll keep that little, we'll call it Rodney. This is the base. Call this mesh. Hide that. Speaker man. I hit an extra E there. Call this speaker rim. So now if we selected all this, we can rotate it, but sometimes the axes get weird. So what I recommend is when you get all your stuff together like this, create a new empty. Shape doesn't matter, so you can get a Shift A empty. I'll get a cube, scale it down. I don't know if it matters if it fits. I don't think it does. So what you do is you get all your stuff you want. So speaker, you click all your stuff. Rodney, mesh. Make sure you select the empty last, right? So that it's yellow like that or orange. Hit Control P. Set parent to object. Keep transform. So that way, when you select the empty, you can move everything around easier. It's just pretty cool. So now let's bring back our rocks. So we got these. Drag that out. Our shot looks pretty good so far. This is looking a little small. Let's scale this up. Bring it a little forward. Forward. We haven't even textured this yet. We will. Like that. It's directly in the center. That's like right where I want it. Make it a little bigger. I think that's good. I like it more in the center of the frame. So let's select everything. GZ to move down. Yeah, I think that's better because we want the focus to be on the actual product, not the rocks. So now if we click the render button, it honestly doesn't even look, it's not terrible. We can rotate the HDRI to get some other looks, but we're not even on the lighting part yet, so we'll not worry about that right now. So let's select our speaker. Delete the normal map. Control Shift T, node regular. Sony speaker. Diffuse texture black. Oh, and we want the bump too. So let's get that. I don't think we need that, but I guess no, we're gonna skip that. So now if we jump out of the camera and go up to the side of our product, this bump map is way too high, so let's turn it down. You can also invert it if you want. We just want it to show up a little bit. Even that's too much, maybe just a tiny, tiny bit. That's good. So now we have our Sony logo on the front. That's good. Now, if we go to our camera, we'll bring this down. That's essentially all we have to do for that. You can adjust the roughness if you want. But I think it was in a pretty good spot where it was at. Excuse me. So now let's start working on the lighting. Let's in this view, what we'll do is let's create a background. Shift A, grid, can rotate on the y-axis by 90 minus 90. Bring that in the back. Now this is where things really start to come together. Let's get rid of our HDRI. You can actually keep it for some fill lighting, so we'll let's turn this down, maybe 0.1, maybe even less, 0.05. Rotate it, just a little bit of fill light. Or like our nice little rim. Probably won't even end up using that, but we'll just leave it there. So what I usually do first is create a new material for the backboard. You can make it whatever color you want. Let's go with the nice red. Roughness all the way up. I'm not a professional. It's just the way I do it. People seem to like it. So drop in a new area light. Bring it back. You can scale it down. You can change the shape. I'll do a disc. Rotate it. Minus 90. Sorry about that. Change the size. You can bring down the brightness. Might be a little too vibrant. You can change the color on the fly and it looks pretty awesome. You can even do black and white, which looks cool. Maybe turn this down a little bit. All right, now let's get some lighting in here. So first thing we're going to do is create another area light. Okay. I usually use rectangles because you can adjust the size. So let's turn the size down a little bit. Bring this light over here. Bring it up. I don't want the light to affect this, so I'm just going to bring it back way further. Make it bigger. There we go. Oh, shoot. Bring this light back. Maybe make this darker material. I kind of like the dark look. It's a little creepy. I like that it's kind of like glowing from behind the product. Okay, that's pretty cool. Now let's take this light. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going to create a target for the where we want the light to be. So we create a new empty sphere. Sphere works. We'll shrink that down. Rename it to light target so we don't get confused. Excuse me. Then we're going to click on our area light up here. Go to the constraint tab. These really confuse me. I know some people use track too, but I like using damp track and setting our object to light target. Now you want to make sure you got the right axis, the minus Z in my case. And now you can rotate it and it just will follow your object. The reason I use the damp track one is you can rotate your light easily like this so I can get cool angles and all sorts of stuff. And you can change your not what I wanted to happen. Bring this in front. Take the spread down. You can really get cool looks if you mess with the spread. It's one of my favorite settings to use. Well, one of my favorite lighting tricks. It's all just tweaking until you get something you like. That's pretty cool. We can adjust the light target, move it around. I think it's a little bright. Let's turn it down a little bit. Okay, now we can add some more lights. Let's create another area light. Scale it down. We can bring it up even. Turn it down. Just add a little bit of fill in the shadows. Looks pretty nice. Maybe bring it back a little bit. Turn it up a little bit to see what it's actually doing. Bring that down. Rotate it a little bit. The light bouncing on the top is a nice look. You can always rotate the product too. Like if we want more of the speaker in view. Which I kind of like the speaker showing a little bit more. But I do like the Sony logo still showing, so we'll try to keep that in view. Sorry. Pretty cool. Now, the light up here is kind of a problem. How do we get rid of that? You go to, is it visibility? Yep, you go to little object properties, turn off camera visibility, camera ray visibility, um, like that. And then it looks a little dull, so what we can do now is just, you can always try HDRIs to see how they look. I like using area lights. Um, but, oh, I like that, bringing more attention to the logo and stuff. That looks nice. I'll turn it down a little bit. It's pretty sweet. It kind of blends a little too much into the background, as you can see right here, and I'm not a big fan of that. So let's take our background and we can we can either bring it way up, we can change the color, we can change the position of the light, which gives a cool effect. I like it in the middle though. I think I might just bring it way up actually. Let's go to the area light, the size we can bring up. Maybe bring this down. Just so there's more of a break in this line right here, because without it, it was way too, it just blended in way too much. Sorry, I'm not very good at explaining things. Now let's create one more area light. Let's scale it down. Bring it over to this side now. RX. We'll do 90. Change it to rectangle. Just like that. Can maybe mess with the spread a little bit to get a little more focused light beam. Turn that down. It's important with these things not to like overdo it. We can even add a little bit of color. It looks pretty cool. I don't know, maybe a color. Yeah, we'll do no color. Sorry about that. Maybe adjust the light a little bit. And a little change it to normal so we can Adjust it properly. Bring it in. Oh, wrong axis, sorry. Just adjust that a little bit to get a little more light. Now, essentially, this shot is done. In my opinion, we can add a little more, like maybe another light. You can even change this to point or whatever you feel like. We can bring it down just to maybe give the rocks a little glow or something. It might be kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Usually front lighting looks terrible, and in this case it also does, so forget that. Um, yeah, I like it. You can adjust the HDRI if you want. I might actually turn mine a bit down because the rocks are a little too bright in my opinion. I'm actually going to shut it off. I would just like a little more light on the left side of the product. Yeah, I like that. Let me see if we can a little softer spread. Looks nice. Off. Turn it up a little bit. Wish that would stop. Now, if you're ever in Blender and you have a problem where you click your object and it's not straight up or down the axis, it's probably because you have normal, so switch this to global. Just adjust that. I think that's pretty much it. Uh, this is my first tutorial. I know it's not incredible or anything, um, but I did try. I've been trying to get this out for a couple days now and just been struggling. I get stage fright when I record. Makes it a little hard. But you can also do this if you go to the compositor. If you click up here, compositor, use nodes. Make sure you go up here to your shading. Set this to always so it shows up live in your viewport. You can add some cool effects. Filter, you can add a glare if you want. I don't usually add glows or anything to product shots, but you can. You can change this to bloom. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, but still kind of neat. We can add RGB curves. Maybe add a little bit of little S curve action. Or not. Um, and now usually what I do here is I just render it out and take it into Photoshop and upload it. And yeah, that's really it. Thank you for watching. I will have more better tutorials very soon. I got stage fright with this, so it was a little tough for me. One last thing I actually forgot. Our model, I know it's hard to tell from here, there's no sub D on it, so it looks a little, if we can get close to it, you can see the grid here is a little chunky because it's not subdivided, so we can hit Control 1 to subdivide it. I think it's already shaded, right? We'll subdivide this. And, I think speaker, we don't really see it, so we don't need to subdivide that, but that's, I think, it. And, you know, you can always go back and change things like the rock positions if you want, or change out the assets, whatever you'd like. It's up to you, and I hope you found at least something in here helpful. And I will have more videos very soon. Thank you for watching, and have a nice one.